And now for something a little bit different.
1,000 subscribers. I'm dumbfounded. I'm astonished. I'm honestly surprised that I actually made it this far. And, well, to put it lightly, I'm eternally grateful to have you guys on board. So, to everyone that has stuck around, to everyone that has seen my videos and put up with my awkwardness, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. So the question is, how do we celebrate this occasion? Well, after a bit of thinking to myself, I've come to the conclusion, screw it, let's finally talk about the Owl House. Created by Dana Terrace, this show follows a teenager named Luz, who upon stumbling into the Boiling Isles, teams up with Ida the Owl Lady and our adorable demon friend King as she pursues her dream to become a witch. I know I said all of this in my Dark Owl review, but this is for people who have just tuned in. Now, I'll freely admit that I'm not really that much of a nut for Disney animated shows like Gravity Falls, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, or even the DuckTales reboot. But when my friend Zeno told me about this one in particular, I knew I had to check it out. So I found the first episode, saw it, and enjoyed it. Then I saw another, and then another, and then the next thing I know, it's 7 o'clock in the morning and I've lost half my brain. Yeah, I was hooked on this show. Easily one of the best cartoons that I've seen from 2020. Mostly because it was the only cartoon that I saw from 2020. And to celebrate me getting 1,000 subscribers, I figured, hey, why not give this series its due and go through the first episode and see how it holds up. Though much like I do with any episode review in the Miraculous Marathon, I will be spoiling this episode rotten, so if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's available on Disney Channel's official YouTube channel in the US anyways, and if you're outside of the US, I'm not sure what else to tell you. But seriously, if you haven't seen this episode, stop watching this video and go and watch it. Cause spoilers, yes it has some problems, but it is freaking hilarious and I highly recommend it. But if you have seen this episode, or don't necessarily care about spoilers, then sit back and enjoy. So with all that said, let's have a look at episode 1, A Lying Witch and a Warden. I freaking love that title.
These are fate miraculous.
Oh no, we're not doing that joke again! I already gone through the episode, I'm past that scene, it's over, I'm done, play the right clip!
I could swallow you whole!
Okay, a Vorthread, we're good. So we open this series with a battle between a Gildersnake and the Good Witch Azura, the self-proclaimed warrior of peace.
Now eat this, sucker!
I think.
No! My only weakness! Dying!
Okay, I know Scott the Woz said death is the most common cause of death, but really? Dying is your one weakness? It's about as much of a weakness as existence is the greatest strength. And it turns out that was the end of the book report given by Luz Noceta, voiced by Sarah Nicole Robles, who also voiced Flytrap in
Carmen San Diego
and Marisol and Boss Baby. Fun fact, Luz was actually based off of Dana Terrace's best friend, Luz Batista, who would serve as a story artist as well as a consultant for the show, bouncing off ideas with Dana about how they were super dorks in high school and how when they were younger they would try to find portals to magical realms just to try and escape homework, which is kind of funny to me.
And when the time came to finalize this character, I asked Luce if I could name the character after her. And she said yes, but you have to make her Dominican. And I was like, oh yes, of course.
Okay, as funny as that story is, it's nice to get some Dominican representation in this show, but even outside of that, I freaking love Luz as a character. She's kind-hearted, eccentric, and is just an absolute lovable little dork. The only problem is she's weird to the point of not having any actual friends, and anyone she does have are just imaginary. Though this could be due to her doing stuff like stuffing spiders in a griffin, flipping her eyelids, gross, surprising the audience of a play with sausage links? I will shoot you! And bringing live snakes that bite to serve as the Gildersnake for her book report. Okay, there's being weird and then there's being a disturbing disruption to others. I mean, what's next? Is she going to bring a set of fireworks? I was kidding! Couldn't you get expelled for that?
No more weirdness.
And that?
That doesn't count, right?
Nah, I'm pretty sure that counts as involuntary manslaughter. Okay, I know I said that this episode was great, but in terms of establishing Luz as a weirdo, I feel like it tries a bit too hard to do so. Yeah, they have her do stuff like reading fantasy books and making AMVs, the latter of which I kind of relate to because of, well, this whole thing. And to be fair on the show, she does get much better development in later episodes, but still, who could relate to someone who brought live snakes and fireworks to a school?
Actually, I can relate to that. I once brought an airsoft gun with me to school, and I got suspended for that. And when I got back to school, I had to get my bag checked for weeks.
Okay, I take everything back. And it's because of this inability to distinguish fantasy from reality, which I have no idea how that relates to bringing live snakes and fireworks to school, that Luz might have to get herself checked into a reality check summer camp, literally called Reality Check Summer Camp. Seriously, it's almost comical how upfront it is about its own oppressiveness. It doesn't even try to hide it with bright colors and rainbows like Smile Away Reformatory Camp from Phineas and Ferb Get Busted. It's just real inviting if I do say so myself. Think inside the box because creativity is an unholy sin. Let us paint the town gray! Not even Luz's mother, Camilla, voiced by Elizabeth Gruyen, who's well known for her roles in Scandals and Criminal Minds, and even voices the second sister in Jedi Fallen Order, can make it sound more appealing. Saying that she'll be busy balancing checkbooks and learning to appreciate public radio, but it's a necessary evil in order for Luz to make actual friends, so it seems like she has no other option than to give up the fantasy realm and start getting used to reality. Until an owl steals her Azura book.
Tiny trash thief!
Does he look like a raccoon to you? Luz runs after him and he runs into an old abandoned house. Normally, or at least in my case, I'd probably cut my losses and head back to the sidewalk, waiting for the bus to pick me up and put me in that advertised box where I'd be okay. I'd probably do what Luz is doing and head inside it. I'm not even being sarcastic. If an owl stole my prized possession, I wouldn't care if it would lead to a trap. I'd just follow it no matter the dangers.
This is why I'm not a role model, kiddos.
And once you know, she exits a magic door with the Eye of Sauron on it, and ends up in a tent full of junk from Earth. Where did this thing come from? Sid's junk pile? I guess it did. Hello, nightmares! Luz peeks out, sees the owl become part of a staff, and the lady who owns it throws a bunch of junk aside. Is that the Holy Grail? Entire stories have been written about the search for the Holy Grail. And here comes this hoppy little owl finding it with these, and this lady thinking that a pair of slinky eyes is worth more than that. Yeah, there is something completely wrong with this world. I mean, the owl becoming a part of the staff, completely normal, but this?
Garbage.
This is anti-normal! And she attempts to burn Luz's book before the nerd snatches it and heads back. Okay, she's boned. And when she exits the tent, it's here where we have a look at this show's incredible art style. Look at this place, it's so creepy and beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Boiling Isles. Basically the remains of a fallen titan where magical creatures reside. Witches, demons, giraffes. That's actually not a joke. They supposedly inhabited this place until they were banished to Earth.
Bunch of freaks.
I mean, I get that their necks are super tall, but how are they any freakier than the demons that inhabit this place? I mean, look at these things! These designs, and the entire art style of the show for that matter, was inspired by the macabre works of Hieronymus Bosch, the surrealism of Remedios Varo, and the romantic nationalistic fairy tale works of John Bauer, three of Dana Terrace's favorite artists.
When I was trying to figure out what kind of show I wanted to make, I looked back to those artists and they reminded me what I loved about art. How creepy you can make things, but also with certain design techniques, how cute you can make something at the same time.
And honestly, I think it works. Just in this one shot alone, there's a ton of variety in the designs, and some of them are creepy without being nightmarish. And in some cases, like this fairy, being kind of adorable.
Give me your skin!
Mostly. I think the standout of this shot has gotta be the centipede thing with 6 legs, a baby face, and a cute little hat. And it spits out, okay, what is that thing? I need a bio of it and toys of it immediately. So the lady takes Luz and is about to eat her skin. Oh, wait, she just
Wants to sell me something! How about this black shadow box that reflects only sadness? How could this happen to me?
meh. Accurate enough. You are worthless. Oh my god! Blues takes a couple of batteries from the candy pile. Thank god nobody ate those. Puts it in the TV and an 80s exercise program turns on. I have several questions, but given that this is a universe where giraffes are seen as freaks and the Holy Grail is seen as trash, I feel like I'm never going to get any answers. Turns out it's a hit with these fellow demons and the con woman is impressed. After Luz mistakes her for a human, which I don't know of any human with pale white skin and a single colored fang. It's just a guitar pick. She reveals that she is not human at all.
I'm Ida, the Owl Lady.
And if that voice sounds familiar, that's because it's Wendy Malick, an actress who's had a ton of roles in films like The American President and Scrooged, sitcoms like Hot in Cleveland, and Just Shoot Me, for which she was nominated for 2 Primetime Emmys and a Golden Globe, and has had several voice acting roles. Probably the most well-known being Chicha from The Emperor's New Groove, but she's also played Beautiful Gorgeous in Jimmy Neutron and Bernie Maxwell from Bratz.
I only eat greens!
I hope she got a better agent. Anyways, yeah, Ida rules. She's snarky and confident in an enjoyable way, and not in a way that makes me want to commit suicide. She's a real badass when using her magic, and her limbs come off. I'd be more horrified by this if Zeno didn't desensitize me to it. This character's just a lot of fun to watch, and Wendy Malick plays her perfectly. Granted, it's the same voice she always has, but she still plays the character really well, and from what I've seen in interviews, she seems really into it, so yeah, kudos. Not to mention, I absolutely love how she holds up her vilification status with pride. Later on, when we enter her house, we see a wanted poster hung up on her wall. And she even boasts about how respected, feared, busted, and doomed to be incarcerated she is. So she's caught by this Monument Valley Crow-looking demon. Am I the only one who sees it? Who tells her she's under arrest for magical and demonic misdemeanors. And he's also taking Luz for fraternizing with her. And like the responsible witch she is, she decides to fight and escape arrest.
She got away with it, everybody!
Probably because you suck at your job! Eventually they arrive at Ida's house, where they are greeted by
Hoot hoot! Password, please!
the face of all my nightmares, Hootie. Seriously, this demon, and in this case that's not an insult, makes no sense. He can stretch himself to an infinite length, he can stretch his mouth to the size of the door, he has the voice of a penny store Mickey Mouse. Like, seriously, what is Hootie? How is Hootie? What is Hootie?
Welcome to the Owl House.
All right, everyone, he said it. We can go home now. Gift bags at the door.
Yeah, this is where she resides, and thankfully she isn't alone. She is accompanied by a terrifying, ferocious, intimidating, monstrous, tiny, adorable little bit of plush material. That adorable thing is King, voiced by Alex Hirsch, who is also the voice of the aforementioned Nightmare Owl,
Hoot!
and of course the creator of Gravity Falls, where he lent his voice to a ton of characters. The one that most people have compared King to being Bill Cipher. And you know what? I kind of see it. It's basically the same voice, or rather Alex Hirsch's natural voice, just pitched up a bit. But even still, this guy is the best thing ever. He acts all high and mighty, but because of his shortness and adorableness, it just comes across as hilarious. I mean, come on, why can't I have a plush of this guy? Seriously, Dana? But there is a reason for his high and mightiness. Years ago, King was an all-powerful demon lord, but then he had his crown stolen, causing him to turn into Cubone if he was a demon dog. So Ida begs for Luz. Okay, you know what? Forget what I just said. So Ida forces Luz to help them out and get the crown back, because it's clear that she doesn't have any other options.
Where are we going?
Somewhere super fun.
And what is that super fun somewhere?
The Conformatorium.
Okay, that sounds like the opposite of fun. Actually, no, that sounds like the bane of the mere concept of fun. Anything even remotely related to fun will just explode upon the mere mention of its name.
F is for friends who...
Conformatorium! But yeah, this place is for those considered unsuitable for society. Are you sensing a pattern here? And Luz decides she needs a disguise, so with a flip of her hoodie...
Meow meow.
Perfection. And yes, I did wear this shirt for this occasion. Thanks for noticing. She heads inside the prison and comes across some of the inmates. One of them is a girl obsessed with writing fanfiction of food falling in love with each other, voiced by Greta Lyle. Yep, Azula, Daphne, and Nikki Vicky. What are the odds? A goblin who likes to eat his own eyeballs and is voiced by Aaron freaking Hansen of all people. I didn't think I'd ever bring up Ego Raptor in a video like this outside of a cheap reference. But he also lent his voice to Rick and Morty and Mighty Magisword, so I really shouldn't be surprised. And my personal favorite, Mike Wazowski's two-eyed cousin. That little cue ball with limbs, Tiny Nose, was actually based off of a self-caricature of Dana Terrace herself, who even provides the voice of this little freak.
We're but playthings for a higher being!
And she's obsessed with conspiracy theories. They're going to make a flat earth joke, aren't they? Was that? They aren't? Not in this episode anyways. But they do have something similar. Okay. Well played, episode. And if it wasn't obvious, these prisoners aren't exactly criminals, just weird. Okay, this is getting a bit much. Yeah, that's admittedly one of the faults with this episode. It tries to bring forth the message of being yourself and not letting society bring you down or force you to conform to their stipulations. Now, as somebody who listens to Nickelback unironically, with some exceptions, thinks Diet Mountain Dew is better than regular Mountain Dew, and prefers villains over heroes, I have nothing wrong with this message. What I have a problem with is its lack of subtlety in its delivery. I already brought up the opening scene in the brochure, which again is still really funny to me, but even after this, the episode just can't help but beat us over the head with this message about 4 more times. Like the evil Warden Wrath, who watches over these misfits wearing a plague mask because this shit is bubonic, and flat out tells them that there is no place in society for them if they can't fit in. I get the feeling that the people behind the show wanted to be upfront with what it's trying to say, so more people are invested and might stick around to watch more episodes, but still, a little subtlety wouldn't hurt, would it? And before we continue with the story, if Warden Rat sounds familiar, that's because he's voiced by Roger Craig Smith, aka Chris Redfield, Ezio Auditore, Batman, a ton of characters from regular show, and Blonic the corn dog.
The warden is distracted, tormenting some tiny creature.
Why did you say that like it was a completely normal sentence? So they head to the contraband room, and because Luz is a human, she can pass through the barrier. Yeah, she just has to be a human to pass through, so no amount of theft will ever keep her out. But upon entering, Luz realizes 2 things. 1, there's a Burger Queen in this universe. I always thought he was single, and especially for a damn good reason. I mean, who would look at this face and think, yes, I want to be his queen? Even Carl Sanders is more attractive than him, which is why he got a dating sim and not this freak. And 2, Ida's a liar. Wait a minute. A lying witch and... I just now got that. Yeah, King's backstory was BS, and all the crown does is just give him the illusion of power.
You shall be a minion in my army of darkness.
Groovy.
Still, Ida cares enough about King, so the crown means as much to her as it does to him, so I really see no reason to lose my head over this. Hey, speaking of...
Ow! Oh, I hate it when that happens.
I would be more horrified by this if misfortune didn't make me hate everything in the world. So yeah, the warden found him, he crushes the crown, and now he's gonna want Ida
To go out with me.
Yeah, wait, what?
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 What? Yeah, all the wanted posters, all the attempted arrests, even stealing King's crown was just to score a date with her. because despite her being a weirdo, he was attracted to her escaping their grasp with every attempt.
I found that alluring.
I'm sorry, Ellie, what did you say about this?
It was unexpected and it was kind of cute.
Look, I love you way too much, but I'm sorry, I cannot agree with that.
Go, boss!
You two are awful and you should feel awful! But because he heard King and Loose, and not to mention... yeah. She gives Warden Wrath a hearty... yeah.
Don't you know how many germs are in your mouth?
About the same number of germs that are in your mouth. Seriously, when he takes off his mask, he looks like the kind of demon that doesn't use toothpaste. Probably because he burns all the germs in his mouth. Okay, that makes sense. So they take care of the creep and the overly supportive crows and make their escape. Then Ida gives Luz the owl key, which she used to access the door earlier, and tells her to go home while she takes on Warden Wrath. Then as Luz flies away, she sees the 3 inmates who were released by her in an earlier scene, with the assistance of Ida due to her
Weak nerd arms!
Of course they're afraid to escape because, well, the Warden will just throw them back in the slammer.
Self-doubt is a prison you could never escape from.
I relate to that way more than Dana would have wanted me to. But Luz tells him just because they're weird doesn't mean they're freaks who deserve to be locked up. Again, a wonderful message. I just wish that it wasn't thrown in our faces that much. So they band together and take down the Warden, all the while embracing their weirdness.
I think the world is a triangle!
No, Tiny Nose, we all know that the Earth is banana-shaped! Pull the wool from over your eyes and see the facts! And when Luz takes a stand against the Warden, declaring herself to be a warrior of peace...
Now eat this, sucker!
I think she bats the fireworks into his mouth and somehow his head doesn't explode as the fireworks are going off. I guess despite this not being the PG fantasy realm Luz dreamed about, it's still a PG fantasy realm. Whatever, Warden Rat's defeated and the inmates are free. Back at the Owl House, Ida fulfills her promise to send Luz back home. Aw, Luz even gives King a new crown. That's just... cute. But when Luz looks at the Azure the Witch book, she has second thoughts and decides to stay with Ida just so she doesn't go to summer camp. And maybe have Ida teach her to become a witch. And while Ida gawks at the idea, eventually she caves in and lets Luz stay as long as she works for her. And so our episode ends with Luz heading to bed, telling her mother she's gonna like it here, and King being an adorable demon dog. So that was The Lying Witch and the Warden. How does it hold up? Not the best, but I won't say it's completely without merit. Again, the art style is wonderful, the animation's amazing, the voice acting's spot on, the characters are memorable, and the sense of humor in this episode was enough to sell me on this show altogether. But after looking at it from a critical perspective... yeah, the cracks are kind of starting to show. I did have a problem with the way they tried to paint Luz as an outcast, especially with how they had her bring fireworks and live snakes to school. But considering my friend brought an airsoft gun to school, maybe it's not that big of a problem after all. The biggest problem that I have with the episode is the heavy-handed attempts at trying to deliver the message of not needing to conform to what society expects from you. It's not outright awful. I've certainly seen worse deliveries of good morals. Hell, I've even seen worse morals. It's just the lack of subtlety is kind of a turn-off for me. Though again, the brochure still gets a laugh out of me. I honestly didn't want to criticize this episode for any reason, especially for my 1,000 subscriber special, but once I noticed these problems, I couldn't not bring attention to them. But putting that aside, I still recommend that you watch this episode at least once to see where it began, and then maybe watch the next 2 episodes at most to see it get better, because trust me, it gets far better. Seriously, the Owl House is so damn good. It's really worth watching if you haven't given it the time of day. And it sucks that it's ending after the 3rd season, which isn't even a full season. It's just 3 special length episodes. All I could hope for is that more people watch this series and maybe send snail mail to Disney so we can see more stuff from the Owl House universe. But until then, yeah, it's kind of sad to see this happen. And that does it for this video. I am so sorry for taking a long time on this. I've been procrastinating like crazy, and I've been dealing with a ton of stuff in my personal life, like wisdom teeth removal, depression, Halloween, Anime Week in Atlanta. Thanksgiving. I got sick at one point, so that was fun. And not to mention general unhappiness with this video, which, coupled with the aforementioned wisdom teeth removal and the fact that my hair was getting way too poofy, so I felt the need to shave it, I just figured, screw it, I'm going to reshoot almost the entire video. Not to mention, I've had a couple of viewing parties with my friends, including the Owl House.
The strongest power couple ever. Know of any stronger power couples than these two?
You and me?
Okay.
And over the span of these 6 months, I managed to get 87 more subscribers, and hey, I even managed to get my first public backlash from the Japanese far right. But even still, I'm astonished that I managed to reach 1,000 subscribers in the first place. I know it's not that big of a number compared to the legions of YouTubers who have far more than me, but the fact that 1,000 people joined my channel to watch me entertain them, share my opinion, and humiliate myself, it really means a lot to me. And so to Zeno for constantly pressuring me to do this video, to all my friends and family for supporting me, and to all of you for sticking around, thank you for being so freaking awesome. But I'm not taking a break just yet. I have one more video to make before the year ends, and of course, there's that Frightening Gale review that's going to serve as my huge project for the next 2 months. So until that comes out, this is ASLB, and I've got nothing else to say other than have a great life, stay miraculous, here's to 1,000 more subscribers, thank you, and see ya.
Huge thank you for waiting this long and for watching this video. I apologize for the lack of a drawing, I didn't have time for it. And as always, be sure to like or dislike, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. I'll see you next time.
I practice the ancient art of fanfiction!
Practice? We humans mastered it for the most part! Where the hell have you been?